Thank you everyone for coming to Adaptive Intelligence's Thinking Thursdays. Today's very special topic is meditate to elate. So our guest speaker today is Dr. AUDREY. And if you guys want to reach her, just go to Dr. AUDREY, and here's her website.com. Dr. AUDREY is a really special person. She does chiropractic. She's the doctor of chiropractic, and she works on all sorts of people of all sizes, ages. And she's also, I guess I could say, a follower of a mentor of mine personally, Donnie Epstein. That's the guy that you see here to the right, and that's his wife. So AUDREY likes to do some, I would say, extreme sports. She has a passion for that. She told me before that she's a boring person, but then she showed me some pictures and I was like, that's not boring at all. Indoor skydiving, skiing. I want to know what else she does. That's pretty impressive. She also likes to travel, and she's also very, very generous. She gives, she feeds her local communities and other communities, and she's a very caring and loving person. So the way I met her actually was through something called Sky Breath Meditation, which she's gonna talk about a little bit today. But basically, it's a way to elevate your internal being, the way that you perceive the world, the way that you feel internally, to help you reach higher levels as well. So that's what AQ is all about, is reaching higher levels, achieving our goals and dreams and aspirations. So again, we're gonna talk meditate to elate. Without further ado, I will be presenting to you, Dr. AUDREY.
Thank you so much for the generous introduction.
Well deserved, well deserved. I'm out here too, literally, to talk about meditation. It's a beautiful little scenery we got going on here. A little bit about how you first got into meditation, because I know you're a healer, you've done chiropractic for a while. Like, what's your background story, and how'd you get into meditating yourself?
Actually, I first learned to meditate when I was a kid. And my mom actually first introduced meditation to me. And the reason she introduced it to me was because I think back then I didn't know this, but I probably was one of those ADD, ADHD kids. So she actually taught me how to meditate so that I could center myself and do better at tests. And I did do better at tests when I did meditated. So that's how it began. And then as I grew older, I joined a yoga class. And at the yoga class was when I met my yoga teacher, who introduced Sky Breath Meditation to me. And that's how I got into it. As a chiropractor practicing downward spinal care by yourself, we've become more and more aware of subtle spinal rhythms in my patient. Okay? And so in downward spinal care, what we strive to do is to create coherent and congruent spinal rhythms. And the more coherent and congruent the spinal rhythms are, the more energy efficient the system is, and the more health the person can experience. So we have many different rhythms, not just spinal rhythms, but breath rhythms, sleep rhythms, right? And then when you're working with someone on a very subtle level, you also get to sense stress rhythms, and those stress rhythms that originates from the mind and the emotion. So a lot of times my patients always ask me, what can I do to further my progress in my healthcare? And so I teach them the Sky Breath Meditation because it is a way that through breath, the patients can learn to bring all of their bodily rhythms into a coherent manner. So that's how I've integrated it.
Yeah, so you help people synchronize, essentially, like synchronize their brain and their body, which I love, because that's really the secret to success. Because if your brain is kind of disconnected, doing its own thing, and your body's kind of like doing its own thing, you're not going to reach your full potential. So that's why it's really important to synchronize them.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about why breath though? Like, what does breath do?
When you're looking at the bodily rhythms, right? One of the things you can observe bodily rhythms is through breath rhythms, right? So the way they breathe is an indication of what's going on inside the body. You can't really see how they think. Right? You can't really see what's going on inside their body, but through the way they breathe, how the breath moves along the spine, right? You can have it clues you in as to where that stuck energy is along the spine and how they can dissipate it, right? So what happens is, what I've experienced is when I teach my patients to do Sky Breath Meditation, what happens is that the breath allows them to connect their mind and their bodies more. So every breath that they take becomes more, there's more awareness in the breath. So that through the breath, they're able to direct their mind to where their body is. So it becomes very easy for me to work with them on the table. And when they're able to connect with their body, they're able to connect with those stress rhythms. And when they're able to connect with the stress rhythms, and we all know stress is a result of mind and emotions, right? And when they're able to connect with what's going on in their mind, what's going on in their emotions, they get to have a clearer insight as to what's going on in their life, what choices they have made, and what they need to do to redirect their life path. So that essentially helps them reduce stress. And when you reduce stress, your health is better.
So like this new meditation that you discovered, this thing called Sky Breath, what's that all about?
When my mother first taught me to meditate, all I did was learn to center myself and really focus on breath at the center of my nose, right? So it was just really a way to center my mind. When I learned to do Sky, it really felt like you're using breath as a technique. Breath is actually a source of energy. So we sleep, we eat, we exercise to have energy, right? But what happens is breath is a source of energy. And in Sky, you're really honing into breath as a source of energy. Completed my first experience in Sky, there was so much energy flowing through my entire system that I honestly felt like I had woken up for the first time in my life. Okay? So Sky also means Sudarshan Kriya. It's a short form for Sudarshan Kriya. Sudarshan Kriya means a cleansing action that brings one to have a clear view of oneself, right? So when I experienced Sky, literally, I felt I had woken up for the first time. I was asleep. Up until then, I was asleep and I had woken up. Not only that, Sky, after doing that, around that time, I was also asking very, very difficult questions, such as, what is love? What is happiness? What is my purpose in life? Why am I here? This was like 20 years ago before I became a chiropractor. Around that time, I was asking all these questions. So when I finished Sky, I felt I woke up. And one thing led to another. I enrolled into school, chiropractic school. I learned to, develop a profession in the healing arts. And unbeknownst to me, I'm actually expressing my life purpose, helping others to become free from stress and gain health from within, right? So in that way, that's what Sky has done for me. Really set my path, my life on the map, fulfilling myself and fulfilling others.
What do you think it is about you that helped you seek something like meditation to further that progress?
Yeah, when you ask, I think for me, looking back, I think I was asking very tough and big questions. What is happiness? What is love?
Too.
Right? What is my purpose in life? Why am I here for? Right? Those are very big questions, and they're not questions that you can answer within a day. But what happens is when you have enough energy moving through your body, and energy that connects you to a certain level of intelligence, that level of intelligence connects you to a certain level, to a higher level of information. Think of it this way: say, for example, you are on one end of the river and there's the other end, and you need to get from here to here, right? There are a couple of things you can do, but there is something that's even better, and that is if you were to jump into the river and the current can actually take you there, right? Then all the work is done for you, right? But you must know when to get into the river and flow with the current, and that current is the energy that carries you from one end to the other. And you may not know exactly where this is, but if you trust the current will bring you to the other end. So I think meditation, for me, my experience to Sky, is that it opens up that pathway, that current in life that pushes me further along my intent. My intent was to ask those questions and look for the answers to those questions and to experience life to express life, through the answers of those questions, right? And so I think the sky breath meditation helped to put me on a path where that energy pushed me closer and closer to what I was seeking. And here I am now sharing this with everyone.
Yeah, that's beautiful. You're definitely guided. I feel like I've been guided in my journey too. And like, I've seen like radical transformations, like not just with myself, but I mean, especially with myself, but also with, others that, experience a lot of these healing modalities with me. I would love for us to be able to do like some kind of demo. So maybe you can show people like what you mean, so that way they can get a little taste of heaven, if you will.
Yes. Yeah. So, I'm here today as a volunteer from Art of Living Foundation. And I also invited another friend of mine. She's a senior teacher in the Art of Living Foundation, and her name is NATALIE. NATALIE, would you like to turn on your camera? Why don't you introduce yourself? And then I actually invited NATALIE to lead this breath and meditation with everyone.
Yeah, sure. So just a quick intro. Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be in a cool space like this. I think for me, when I came to the Art of Living Foundation, similar to Audrey, I was in university at the time, and I was just like, I didn't necessarily overtly have the question, like, what's the meaning of life? But that was like the undercurrent question. And I just kind of felt like I would pop from philosophy class to sociology class to a psychology class, and all of these things kind of just looking for like some sort of meaning and some sort of community where I could have these discussions. And so I feel like I found a way to not only like be in good company, which is really important for your well-being, at least for my well-being, but to also have a practice that like connects me to myself, where I can like de-stress and also re-energize. So I started teaching these programs about 16 years ago, and Audrey and I got connected about a year ago and have been occasionally fortunate enough to co-facilitate some of the sky breath meditation classes together. I've had such a nice time. So she invited me to lead the breathing technique and meditation tonight. The best way I can think about doing a guided meditation is that it's like being on the massage table. You kind of like, the therapist kind of asks like, oh, where are you feeling some tension or stress? But then you kind of just let go, right? You're not doing anything, like, you're just like sort of observing and see what like the technician does to release the stress from your body and seeing how you feel afterwards. So I invite us to just be along for the ride and like kind of flowing a little bit tonight. In this type of meditation, it's not concentration, it's not effort. There's no need to visualize or concentrate. If those things come up for you naturally, that's fine, but we don't have to create some sort of effort around it. And the one thing I want to clarify is that Audrey did talk a lot about sky breath meditation. That's a longer, more involved technique that we teach in a workshop where it's about 2.5 hours a day for 3 days in a row, where you learn a whole system of breathing techniques and you go through the sky breath meditation and you learn how to do it on your own. So we're going to do a guided meditation and a breathing technique tonight, but it's not the whole practice we're discussing. That takes a little bit longer. So I just want to make sure we don't create any confusion. So let's begin by doing a brief inventory of our own system. So just gently close the eyes before we go into our practice and just pay attention, tune into your own self. Just notice any sensations in the body. Maybe there's a little stiffness or tension somewhere. Without trying to change anything, just observing. Then tune into your own breath as it's moving in and out of the body right now. The breath could be long, be shallow. And then just notice the state of your own mind. You might still be racing from the day. That's fine. So begin by doing a few conscious breaths. You're going to take a normal breath in. And as you exhale, imagine that there's a tiny little straw in between your lips, and exhale very, very slowly. So natural breath in. Exhale through that teeny tiny straw. Once again, inhale. As you exhale, pursing the lips, tiny straw. If your breath gets a little shaky, that's normal. One more time, natural breath in. Exhaling through your imaginary straw. Very gently become aware of any sounds or noises around you. Maybe some cars in the distance, some people talking, birds or animals outside. Accepting all of the noises. Being in harmony with your surroundings. Breathing in and letting go. Now, very lightly, bring your attention to your physical body. Body is this beautiful gift from nature. Let's honor our whole body. Taking attention to the feet. Knees, thighs and hips, stomach, abdomen and chest. Shoulders. face, top of the head, whole body, the whole body. Breathing in and letting go. Now bring your attention to your thoughts, if there are any. Wandering thoughts, repetitive thoughts, just let them come. Thoughts are like the passing clouds in the sky. Be in harmony with the thoughts. Becoming aware of your feelings, if there are any, pleasant, unpleasant. Accepting the feelings as they are in this moment. Knowing will change. Your core, your peace and joy. Breathing in and letting go. Becoming aware of your feelings. Becoming aware of your thoughts. Becoming aware of your physical body. Becoming aware of your surroundings. Again, tuning into the breath within you. Observing the state of your body, the state of your breath. The state of your mind. You feel ready? You can gently begin to move the body. You can open the eyes when you feel ready, taking your own time to transition back to a more wakeful state. You can open your eyes when you feel ready.
Thank you so much, Natalie. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. How you doing, Audrey?
Very well.
I would say at this point, maybe we should go ahead and go into our open discussion and see what everyone else thought of it. If you guys unmute yourself if you're going to be talking, and also turn your video back on and share what your experience was.
Adaptive intelligence. You searched for more. You wanted to become the best version of yourself. Your search is over. And the technology finally exists. To go beyond limits. Your time has come. Unleash your potential. AQ. Adaptive intelligence.
Hey, Julie, how you doing?
Good. I'm so glad. Thank you so much, Natalie. That's exactly what I needed today. I probably need to do it every day. I know there are online, I felt more that you were present with me, even though you're not.
When we did these programs in person for decades, and then when we took them online, we were like, kind of like, a wing and a prayer, like, how's this going to go? And it has been so wonderful because you can see everyone at the same time in a certain sense. And you can also take classes with people from all over the world. So it really builds a beautiful sense of connection just outside of our geographic boundaries too.
I have a question. Are there a lot of different types of meditation, or how many different broad categories of meditation are there?
Is that question directed to Natalie or to Audrey?
Either one is fine.
Yeah, because to my knowledge, I think there's hundreds, maybe even thousands. But what do you think, Dr. Audrey?
So there are many kinds of meditation. There's the contemplative meditation, there is the mindfulness meditation, there's just so many kinds of meditation, right? And then there's guided meditation. So there are many different kinds of meditations. That's your question. To answer your question. But I think what you really want to know is, how is Sky different from other meditation?
That's part of the question. Yeah, I mean, what makes one meditation different for the other, and how do you go about determining which meditation is good for you?
If you have never done any meditation, start with one that calls out to you and go with it, because this journey is like a river. You will learn one and you may gravitate to another and come back to the original one that you learned. So for example, I started with concentration meditation, which is what my mom taught me. Then I went into contemplative meditation, so that when you use meditation as a means to digest the lessons of the day, right? So it was really to center the mind and to become more focused in the information, let's say in a learning environment. And then there's Sky. And in Sky breath meditation, it is a whole way of using your breath to derive energy and to channel that breath along your entire I call it the body or the spine. And along your spine, you have all the energetic centers. So all the energetic centers are being energized, right? And so that's the reason why for me and many people who have experienced Sky, it helps to awaken, because of the amount of energy that's sent to the brain. It helps to awaken that person from the inside out. And we all know that when you're awake, the experience of life is very different from when you're asleep or when you're tired. So Sky breath meditation has the ability to bring into harmony all of your body rhythms, internally and externally.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and I will say, just with anything, the main difference between anything is really intent. What is the intent? And there's lots of different meditation types. I mean, I've done one where you basically close your eyes and you just try to let every thought go, and the intent is to let go of thoughts. And I've done another one where the intent is to focus, like to close your eyes and focus on the space in between your head. So like it's like a little like brain basically, and then that's like a feeling meditation that's like happens in your mind. There's all sorts, but it really comes down to intent. So I do like the one that Audrey teaches with the sky breath, because it does help you to become aware of your surroundings, and like she says, you feel more awake.
It's very practical. It's really a 20 minutes practice, and in that 20 minutes, you get to the heart of meditation, which is your mind being centered. You're in the present moment. You stop jumping from the past to the future. Your mind's always going from past to future, right? So when you're in the future, you develop anxiety. When you're in the past, you have regret. So because of the sheer amount of energy that is generated through this breath exercise, your mind just becomes very centered. And in that centered state, you become aware. A lot of times things happen because we are not aware. A lot of times, we get in trouble because we are not aware, right? Things go wrong because we're not aware. A very simple thing is you walk and you trip and fall because you're not aware of the change in the ground. You took a step, and that step, you're not aware of that change in that height of the step, and your body's not able to adapt to that quick change, and you fall or you sprain your ankle, right? So that's just an example of how we get injured physically, but in how we make a decision or how we process the information, how we receive the information and process it. A lot of times things go wrong because we're not fully aware, we're not fully in the present moment. So sky breath meditation helps us to develop enough energy through our breath so that we are awake, right? When you're awake, literally like a sense of awake mindfulness, wakefulness, you're in the present moment. You become very aware of all the subtle information that's around you. And sometimes you're actually picking up all this information not through the thinking brain, but through your sensory to your perceptions, your senses, and those senses, helps you to like just within an instant make the right decision or move away from danger, so to speak, right? Or move into it to recognize an opportunity and seize the moment, right? So so meditation is really a way so that you're more energized and more centered, and you can better express life at every moment.
What helped you most? You mentioned that you had ADD as a child. So
the things that I think at that time, ADD, ADHD was not known. Okay, but looking back, I could very well be one of those kind of kids, right? Attention deficit, So definitely not being able to pay attention impacted how I can learn, right? Okay. So my mother taught me how to meditate, and I remembered, one time I meditated and before the test, and it was a mathematics test. Okay, and usually I'll be like really stressed before the test, and I meditated before the test, and I just did it so calmly, so clearly. I got full marks in it, and as a kid at that time, I was like, wow, that's how I could sense when the mind is really clear and centered, I could perform much better than when I was under stress.
Yeah, fear and thoughts, you can just freeze up and you know the answer, but you can't even choose it. Yes, right. So yeah, I remember that time when I took the test, I was so calm, so centered, so present. Like it was a piece of cake taking that test. That's awesome. If I really, really try, I can be spot on, but it just depends, I think, on your surroundings too. But so developing a peace of mind, or developing a peace of mind, or developing a sense of presence, or developing awareness, is not something that
you tell yourself, okay, I want to do it now. It's not something like that. It does oddly require prior practice. That means you have to develop a habit for it. And you cannot practice sitting there like, let's be aware. Like, that's why sometimes there are people who sit and meditate, and instead of meditating, their mind is actually busier.
Yes.
Right? And when you try and meditate, you're actually more stressful because you try to say, let's get rid of the thought. But the more you say, get rid of thought, guess what? You think more.
Oh, more. Yeah.
Right? Or you tell yourself, I shall not be frightened. Guess what? You become, I shall not worry about this. And you worry more. Correct? So the from my own experience, what I found is presence of mind or awareness requires you to be in a certain energetic state. Not just the state, but a certain level of congruence of energy, your focus of the mind, your physical body, right? So all of those three triads have to come together so that it becomes a congruent state. Your body has to have the energy, and your body has to have enough flexibility, and you must have that continuous supply of energy to sustain it. And when you have those qualities, then the mind can be present, and the mind can be present enough to penetrate actually that thickness, and then you can actually, like a plane, get through the clouds, and then you can reach a zone where the energy is available. And in that zone where energy is available is what I also call creativity. And that's where breakthrough thoughts, ideas come from.
Yeah.
See that? So yeah, so if you have that level of congruence in your life, or you have that muscle memory, so to speak, that can get you into that state, right?
Yeah.
Then as a being, as a person, you become that much more resilient and that much more adept to all of life situations.
I love that. A lot of successful people have probably mastered that.
Yeah, right. And you don't have to be a millionaire or the head of a CEO of a company. All of us are successful in our own right. At every level, we are successful, and we continue to achieve success at every level that we are at. So sky breath meditation is something that has been taught to over 3, 4, 5 million people around the world, and is taught over 150 countries. Many politicians actually do sky breath, have learned to do this sky breath meditation, right? And some leaders of the countries learn to do this as a practice daily. Ordinary people like you and I who experience success in our own field of influence, right? And we practice sky breath meditation every day so that we can continue to share our gift with more and more people.
Yeah, and I love how it really does elate, meaning it has you feel these feelings of joy and peace and calm. And when you are in that state, you're more likely to share that state with others, because we communicate through others, not just with words and, sounds and gestures, but also like Audrey's saying, with energy, so with intent. So when you're in a good state, they're more likely to basically be in the same state as you because of mirroring neurons, which your brain has. And it's hardwired to help you relate to others and for them to relate to you. So when you can consciously take control of your own state and your own state of well-being, you're actually doing the world a favor too, because you're doing the same for them, right? So the most loving thing you can do is to really take care of yourself, especially through... Is there anything else you want to say to that, Audrey?
You mentioned the quality of love, right? So remember, as a child, I was asking, what is love, right? So we all experience love from time to time through relationships, right? When you really connect with yourself, when you are really in that deep meditative state, love is just a very humongous quality of joy, right? When you have this humongous amount of joy. And when you have this immense amount of joy that allows you to feel a sense of connection, a sense of belongingness with people and living things around you, when you feel a sense of connectedness with living beings and people around you, right? Love is not something like you find in a person, but actually love is something that's our very essence.
Yeah, it comes from within, essentially. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Right? And who would have known that in order to find love, just need to meditate?
Right? That's what we've all been doing wrong.
You know, the other thing that I was thinking about is that even the Bible talks about meditation. You know, I don't know how religious people is, but you know, the Bible talks about, you know, being still and knowing that I am God, he says. And that's God's instructions to meditate on him, meditate on nature, meditate on the love in our hearts. And the more you do that, the more you just calm down, get nature, relax, breathe, you know, the more you seem to have that joy. And that's one of the things that I love working with Gabriel on, because he's taught me how to breathe through his neuro healing, and it's been very potent. And every day that I do it, the next couple of days, I feel great. And then after 3 or 4 days, it wears off, and I need my counselor to come back over and help me again. So, I just wanted to add that. So thanks.
Yeah. So a lot of times when people say meditation, they make it sound as if like it's something out there, you know. But really, what meditation means is putting the attention to yourself, being present in the moment. So meditation is not some woo-woo thing out there, but meditation is just really being real, being present with yourself.
Prayer is a form of meditation, you know?
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, that's really what you're basically meditating on God, and that's what prayer is, you know? Like, I mean, there's more to it than that, but that's the essential intent. But going back to what Jeff said, you know, like what Audrey does and also what I do, the intent with what we do is to help you be able to help yourself. Like we're helping you train your neurology to that one day you won't need us. That one day you'll be able to do it on your own, and you'll realize that you do have the ability, you do have the power. You just need to know how to start, you know? So that's why, you know, like when Jeff says like, oh, sometimes things wear off. Yeah, well, meditation to get back on track. Get in touch with yourself, with your inner being, with your body, with your breath, with your mind, with your whole essence, right? And realization that you are powerful beyond measure. Is there anything that you'd like to add to that, Audrey? Because I know you did say you know, meditation helped you with tests and things like that, but is there anything else that helped you with? You know, and you did also say that you got a lot of answers to life's questions, like what is love? You know, like that's a really good one. What else would you say?
Hey, Michael, why don't you share with the group?
Now, one of my, I've tried all kinds of different meditations, breathing techniques, yoga, you know, Tai Chi, you know, you name. I'm one of those people that like to experiment on all different kind of things, and they're all quite amazing. The thing that I find interesting is that, you know what, you know, we think sometimes we have to like work hard at it, or we got to pay attention to our thoughts or change our thoughts, kind of like Audrey was describing, where we try to get rid of a thought and we end up with more thoughts or whatever it is. And it's like, there's certain subtle levels of our existence, like our thoughts, our body, you know, our emotions, there's different levels. And the really cool thing about using breath is that it's, for me, the experience of like, you can go take the first exit and maybe it's your thoughts. You can go to the next exit and it's your emotions. You can go to the next exit and it's maybe, you know, what we might consider like spirituality or the subtle parts of our existence. And then you can go all the way to the final exit with breath, right? Like it's literally something so simple and it's right under our nose, right? And it's like, for me, it's been like, you know, different meditation techniques have been, when I learn a breathing technique and I can breathe and that's all I really focus on or pay attention, it takes me to the last exit, right? It takes me it's like going to the deepest of the ocean. Like you just go there. And so that, and then to go to what you were saying, Gabriel, get to that depth of the ocean, it's like we get to that place where we realize that love is not even really an emotion. It is what we are. And then when we're there, we can experience other higher vibrational or energetic emotions more frequently, and we train ourselves. And so yeah, that would be my personal experience with sky breath and meditation.
Michael, thank you. Yeah, and like you were saying, and like what Audrey was saying, it's like the more you do it, the more it becomes ingrained in your neurology. So, as Tony Robbins likes to say, repetition is the mother of skill. And, this is one of those skills that you can develop that will last you a lifetime. And it'll even become, it'll just kind of happen spontaneously on its own without you having to think about it anymore. And that's the real value of it. It's almost like if you could automate being relaxed all the time, that's probably the way to do it,
You actually can automate being relaxed all the time, right? That is like if you have a practice that allows you to develop a habit. So I think, in our society, there's just so much stress going on right now. And the way we are brought up is very stress-based. And I think as a society, we have not been taught to develop the habits of being stress-free. But we talk about it a lot. But our culture and our society really drives us to unconsciously, live and have a habit of stress. So sky breath meditation or any other meditative practice, it is a way to help us re-establish ourselves and re-establish ourselves in a habit that allows us to become present, and become aware, to be in the moment. And when you're in the present moment and you're aware, your mind is not concerned about the future, so you don't have anxiety. You're not concerned about the past, so you don't have regret. And as a habit, as you keep practicing it, then you just naturally becomes stress-free. So it is extremely possible. It's extremely possible to achieve those kinds of those kind of states as a way of being, right? It's extremely possible to do it.
How long do you think it takes the average person to obtain that, so it is your habit or pattern?
That's a very good question. So a lot of people that I have taught sky breath meditation to, in their very first session, they experience this tremendous amount of weight lifted off from their shoulders. Okay. And then what we do is we teach them also to develop a daily practice.
Okay.
It's like 20 minutes long. And I and other teachers also facilitate a weekly session so that people can practice together, right? And in general, I first experimented this with some of my patients that came in, and they look like they walk in and you look at them and you're like, oh my God, I think you need 1 million years of care.
They're a mess forever. Yeah.
Right? Like, oh my God. So, I actually experimented sky with these people first. And I said, hey, why don't you learn how to do this sky breath meditation so that number one, it will save you time and money with your care with me. And it also help you because, you've got something to unload all the stress that you're carrying.
Plus, they're more accessible.
Exactly right. And in all of these people, I really noticed that within a week, you can see a change, but within a month, their whole being is different. Okay?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So it is a very fast technique. I've done a lot of practices. This is a very fast technique that gets you right to the core of meditation.
I love it. What one other question, I'm done. In a stressful situation, why do we hold our breath? Have you heard of that?
When you're stressed, the first thing that happens is all these the muscles in your between your ribs, the intercostal muscles, shuts down. That's the first thing that happens. The moment you get stressed, these muscles shut down. And when these muscles shut down, you find that you're not breathing as much.
the other thing that I wanted to mention right along with that is that I come through the art of living and with Sky Breath, I came to the realization that any emotion, right, anger, frustration, you think of, okay, now how am I breathing when I'm experiencing that emotion? And they're correlated. So how we breathe is proportionate to how our emotional state is and our experience, our energy level. And so then it's actually quite possible and very easy with Sky Breath to near our emotional state, our energy, and teach ourselves a practice. And I know there's lots of other breathing techniques and methods as well. It's basically comes back to the fact that if we can breathe natural state, then we can actually experience our natural state. And the more we teach ourselves how to breathe, we can re-engineer that. We can re-engineer happiness. I work for IBM, Dell, some big corporations, and so I'm a very logical, rational thinker. So for me, I think, okay, well, yeah, that makes logical sense. Okay, I got that, and I've tried it, and it works.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah, that's really. I've used meditation myself, and anytime anytime something goes wrong, I go, okay, get some space between whatever's going on and really tune in, and then it's funny because I just realized, like, after doing that for maybe like anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, sometimes 30 if I really need it. Whenever I go back where I'm ready and I'm ready to face whatever challenge there was peacefully, calmly, it just tends to magically be solved for me. And I go,
yeah.
It's a really fascinating, weird thing, but it happens consistently. So it's funny how, like these holograms, and they kind of like, they attach to certain things in the world or in reality. And then, when you're able to meditate, it clears all that, and then everything's good again. Fascinating how consciousness interplays with whatever's going on. I would also love to hear more about what other people think, because we've got a nice little group here, and hopefully Audrey can come back on. I don't see her anymore, but I would love to hear more about Anahi or Anahai. I hope I'm saying that right. I would like to hear more about from Flor, see how she experienced the meditation, and S1, your guys' take on all this.
So, well, I really couldn't really clear my mind. So I just just breathe with it. I constantly, my brain want to think of work still. So that's my problem. Actually, when I was in my 20s, that was like 20 something years ago, I tried to meditate before. I tried meditation, but my only problem is that every time, I try to meditate, I would fall asleep. That is the problem. So that is my issue. I basically just fall asleep. So I gave up after that, and I just haven't been practicing.
There's actually a really good quote. It was by Buddha, and he said, "Sleep is the best form of meditation." So if you do fall asleep, that's not a bad thing. Like I love it when I meditate and I fall asleep and I wake up so refreshed. Like that is the best meditations in my opinion.
That was similar. What I was going to say is I believe that you pick it up anyway in the background. I don't know what your belief is. Yeah, and I do believe sleep is the best form of meditation for sure. You can
Yeah, so I do that. Like some night when I can't sleep, I will say that, okay, I'm going to meditate.
Yeah.
Instead of sleeping, I tell myself, okay, now I'm going to meditate, and then I fall asleep.
When your brain is in the present moment, and when your brain is in the present moment, you're actually consuming energy. You actually use up a lot of energy when you're thinking about the past or the future, right? And so that's the reason why when you're in that present moment, you look more radiant because you are conserving that energy, pulling your energy together, right? And then, sometimes, and because we're so used to expending energy in our thoughts, that when you're doing your meditation, you're actually becoming more centered. And in that moment when you're centered, you're relaxed. And in that relaxed moment, you fall asleep.
Like meditation is so important that your body decides to do it for 7 to 9 hours every day, and it's called sleep. So that's how important it is. So when you can do it when you're physically awake, you're giving your brain that extra boost for anything and everything that comes its way. That's why I'm also a big proponent of actually taking naps, you know? Like, listen to your body, listen to your brain. Whenever you feel tired or stressed, you know the right tools now.
Yeah, I've been really enjoying listening. I think some things to note is in our practice, and we talk more about this in some of our other workshops, but you know, thoughts and that feeling of sleep or fatigue, even physical discomfort, are all signs that the meditation is working. We have a very strong concept sometimes, you know, because we see those beautiful pictures of, you know, whenever you see a flyer for a meditation course, you see somebody that's like sitting up rimrod straight, like they have their hands in a mudra. But real meditation is like, you might be fidgeting, you might kind of fall asleep for a little bit. It doesn't look as gorgeous, but inwardly, but inwardly the feeling is there, you know? So right, we have the waking state where we're very, very alert, but there's no rest. And then we have the sleep state where we're really, really getting a lot of rest, but we're not alert. And so meditation is that state where you're both rested and alert at the same time. And within your, you know, say you're practicing for 10 minutes, you might just get a few glimpses of that, and that's okay, because it's just like, you know, you can't only ever breathe in and never breathe out, right? There are these ups and downs within the practice and within the rhythms within our own life. So when we're doing the meditation practice, thoughts come, pockets of fatigue come, all of that just means the practice is working. So if you're feeling that, you give yourself a little pat on the back, because we're all normal and we're doing it right.
There you go. And I would say one of the things I love the most about meditation is that there's so many to choose from. And then it's also the most cost effective if you think about it, because you don't need anything external. It's already within you. And it's one of my favorite ways to biohack, because it's, you know, it's literally everywhere you go, anywhere you are, you can always meditate. And no matter what the situation is, it'll always help. Always help.
Yeah, and the other thing that I've noticed too as I've done more meditation is that when I first initially started doing it, I would fall asleep. I realized that if I was meditating and I did fall asleep, and after the meditation I felt refreshed, there was a big impact, right? Like I had more energy, I felt more clear, more present. It wasn't a big deal that I fell asleep. The more that I did the practice daily and even did additional workshops that like Natalie was saying, there's fatigue, and that tends to be the first thing that our body processes through and lets go of. And then once there's no more fatigue, we can go to much deeper states of meditations. So it's a process of allowing that fatigue to clear. And the more I pay attention to how I sleep at night and reducing the stress throughout the day, that's less likely to build up and have to be released. You know, foods that are, you know, easy to digest, that isn't so much work, right? I mean, like all the things that we can do to optimize our body helps us with our meditation as well. For me personally, that's what I've experienced.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, that's absolutely beautiful. Out of curiosity, what are some of the other meditation techniques that you've tried, Michael? And like, how have they kind of stacked up in comparison?
A lot of the ones I did were, you know, you'd maybe do like something online or listen to a YouTube video, or, you know, I tried Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditations. Did that.
Oh yeah, those are good.
Yeah, I did that for quite a long time. Those are the kind of the big ones. I haven't necessarily tried every single one out there. I've tried quite a few different ones. And for me, it was a lot of times it was something to do with, I feel like if you're paying attention to emotions or focusing on thoughts, it's more at the mental level. And I love meditations where it's a breath type technique. I've done Wim Hof as well, quite a bit.
Oh, nice.
So those are the ones that are breath based are my favorite, because there's less of the mental component or I already have plenty of the mental component. So
Right. Yeah.
doing something that's breath based where I can breathe, it gives me a shortcut.
Exactly. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's interesting too, because like, whenever your body goes into all these, I don't know if you're aware of like whether shamans or if it's, some kind of healer or, whatever different modality it is, there's always breath involved, even with like sacred plant medicines. If you notice the breath, you'll see that it does get altered. It does change. So like a lot of like, you can sit there and do like Wim Hof, and that like is like building up energy, right? Or you can do something like this where it's more like dissipating tension, but it does affect your breathing rate. And it's so important to take note of that and how your breathing rate affects your brain. Have you guys experienced that as well, where like, you can actually directly tie how you're breathing to your emotions and your emotional state?
I did like on the beach, just nasal breathing and like 30 breaths, just like no nose, but you don't want to beat yourself up if you accidentally breathe through your mouth, and then building up to 50. And you can get like a DMT experience. I was seeing a lot of outlines and messages, I think. And I've been noticing, well, because I have a hard time meditating because I lean towards ADD and was never diagnosed either till I was older. But I've been doing it. I only did it like twice. I just got back from Mexico, but I'm doing it sometimes on my own a little bit.
Right. Actually, that kind of reminds me of like sometimes like if I have like almost like a tension headache going on, I notice that if I change the way I breathe, and actually Tony Robbins talks about this too, but if you like take a deep breath in and then you hold it for a while until you kind of can't anymore and then you let it go, that does help to alleviate some of the tension headaches. Basically, it changes the pH of your blood by changing the concentration of carbon dioxide to oxygen. And so like that helps kind of recalibrate and reset your arteries to then change how the blood flow is going to your brain. But it'll actually increase the blood flow to your brain by doing that. And that's why it helps with something like that. But that helps me personally, like if I have some kind of like headache type thing going on, it does help to do that a couple of times.
I had a headache a little bit before this, and I don't have one now. Not bad. I just realized it's not there. Yeah.
I've used some of the techniques I've learned with Sky Breath and with the Art of Living, where sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and I'll have some anxiety and I'm awake and I really want to sleep another hour or two, and then I'll use some breathing technique to improve the energy level of my body, so I actually get beyond that stress and I can go back and sleep just as soundly as I had for the previous 4 or 5 hours, and I can get the rest of my night. I use that a lot, so wow. It's actually been very practical too, in that I've got that muscle memory and, like you said, the mirror neurons, and I've practiced it enough times that I can take a really nice clearing breath, because I practice breath and I can breathe all the way from my root to my crown and do that 5 or 10 times, and then I'm good. And you asked me how the Sky Breath stacks up against other meditations. I would definitely say that Sky Breath is my favorite and most effective that I've seen. There's been quite a bit of research on it. Yale did some research and found it to be the most effective and powerful mindfulness technique, and they compared several of them, including Wim Hof and some others. So it's actually been highly researched.
Oh wow, that's fascinating. I didn't know that. That's really cool. And I actually like the guy that invented it, Sri Ravi Shankar, because he was actually friends with Donnie Epstein, which was a mutual mentor to me and Audrey. And he kind of developed his own breathing technique called SRI, or somato-respiratory integration. Distinguish the differences between SRI and the Sky meditation?
All right. So SRI is 12 stages of healing, and it is a very specific way of the 12 rhythms of life. And there's very specific hand placement, breath rhythms, focus attention, and then expression through a sound, or verbalization through a sound or a statement, to actually bring your mind to an awareness of the state that you would otherwise be hijacked. Okay, so it's kind of like to really just bring awareness, like the example I gave to you, go past that cloud so that you can be clear, right? So SRI is really to bring an awareness to that state that you are in. And so then you are not hijacked by that state. Or that when you're aware of that state as an opportunity, you can really ride in that opportunity and go further. Sky breath meditation actually was discovered by Sri Sri. And he actually knew that a lot of people were doing meditation and were looking for that peace, that centeredness, that through meditation you should be able to receive those experiences. So he actually realized that there were people who were seeking those experiences and were not yet able to get it through meditation. So actually he went into silence, and in the silence he discovered this rhythm. And what happens is that through a very specific rhythm of breath, you learn how to bring all of your rhythms into a state of balance. So to me, I think it is more overarching, brings all of your rhythms, mind, body, memory, all the subtle layers of all your existence into harmonious rhythm. So that's the reason why, like I said, when I did the sky, I was able to feel awakened for the first time, because all of your rhythms are brought into a harmonious rhythm. So really you're using breath as a means to bring into harmony all the pistons in your body, mind, emotions, memory, physical body, all the gross and subtle layers within a short amount of time. So that immediately allows the mind just to go into the present state. And in that present state is where meditation occurs. Meditation is really about, dumping away all that you are not.
And I do want to add to that. It physiologically has an effect on your body. So it has physiological effects. And I'm sure you can go into this more, but obviously like cortisol will be decreased. So all the stress hormones will melt away, and we all know that how bad cortisol is, because it basically makes you pack on the pounds, and it starts to deteriorate at your well-being, and even like how well your organs function and how well your brain functions. Like you get kind of cloudy judgment when you're stressed out, right?
Okay, and I really think the reason for all of that is because when you take the mind away from stress, from defense and away from stress, then your body starts to have less inflammation. Your immune system starts to improve, right? And your cortisol decreases, your blood pressure decreases, your sugar level becomes balanced out. Just having all of those components taken care of is where health begins,
Yeah, and another good thing to mention too is actually something that Donnie Epstein talks about, our mutual mentor. You don't want your body to be in defense physiology, because that's when all these bad things start to happen. But when you can do things like neurohealing or meditation or SRI or certain plant medicines, or all these things do is they help elevate you essentially to change your physiology, and then helping, because if your neurology is stressed out, but there's very real effects to all this, and we can choose to ignore it and miss out on all the great opportunity in life, or we can choose to consciously use these tools and better our life and better the world. If you guys have any last minute questions, feel free to ask them.
I don't have any questions, but I did want to just say thank you for giving us your time and teaching us some of your knowledge. It was great to listen to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Natalie, do you have anything to add?
Oh, no, just going to say thank you so much for letting me join tonight. It was really lovely to spend time with you. And I hope that if anyone is interested, that Audrey and I will spend more time with you on a workshop soon. Would love to teach you more about this.
It was very, very enjoyable. I'd like to start something myself around here in Scottsdale while I'm still here, because I've got two of them, one, I don't know if she's in a psych ward or not here. Nobody can find her. And a doctor friend who is on the edge. So I was like, maybe I just start something right now. But I need other peeps too. So trying to put that together quickly, because I see things going bad quickly with a lot of people emotionally, especially, I don't know, here in Scottsdale at least I am.
Yeah, definitely reach out to me or Natalie after this.
Okay.
We have we can have so much information to share with you to help your friends. Okay.
I was hoping for like a group, but then do you have some people online? I'm kind of, so yeah, I'll reach out to you.
Yeah, you see Natalie's email address there? Yeah, definitely reach out to her. I'll give you my cell phone number.
Audrey.
No.
Low. I'm sorry, my phone.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, definitely reach out.
No.
There is so much.
And then it was at, okay, I got 719. If you could pop that up just one more time.
Yeah, 719-963-6333.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to thank Gabriel for inviting us today to share Skype with everyone. And I also want to thank everyone for participating in this evening. It was a very, very heart-opening, heartwarming discussion with everyone. And I want to thank Natalie for leading us through the meditation this evening.
Yes, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Audrey, for sharing. And many blessings to you all.